Back live. I have been going live quite a bit, but live is just kind of easier when you have that word and you're like, I can sit down and record it. I can go live real quick, encourage it, talk to you guys in real life, in person kind of vibes. I like how that feels. However, we're still going to drop our videos every week on Mondays and Fridays, but I do think lives are going to be something I just occasionally do. I actually think going live is a little easier at times than recording the video, getting it edited, getting it creating the thumbnail. Live is just a little quick, okay? But anyways, welcome. There was a word that I dropped on Monday on my devotional. I didn't drop it on YouTube. I dropped the Esther message word from the fast we just did. I dropped that on YouTube, but there was a word the Lord gave me last week Sunday, if I'm not Sunday, he gave it to me. And I dropped it in our weekly devotional that I do on my website. So if you don't know, I have a ministry called His Daughter's Closet. Okay, you guys. I have a ministry called His Daughter's Closet. And every Monday I drop a weekly devotional. And usually this ties into the word of the morning coffee. They're just one is text, like you can read, and another one is the video format. But this week I didn't do the video format because we had the Esther fast sermon. And so I just had the written word, and this word was talking about God is taking you back to your roots. It was good, y'all. It was powerful. It was a blessing. Sorry if y'all hear a lot of noises. I have a lot going on today, okay? Just a lot. There's just things just moving and grooving, okay? But anyways, I wanted to jump on here live because I wanted to let you guys know about this devotional that I wrote this week because I believe this is for somebody, honestly. And if I'm honest, you guys, some people ain't gonna listen to you until you just, pull up on them. And that's what I'm doing. I'm about to pull up on you guys because I really believe this word is for somebody. God is taking you back to your roots. Okay. And the reason I came about this word and I wrote it in that weekly devotional, I talked about sitting in this old Baptist church this past week, and I was sitting in this church, and it's this old Baptist church, and I'm sitting there, and I started to notice how there was no LED screen. There was not all the things that in our non-denominational modern day churches we see. LED screen, big, pretty, crazy lights, and just like concert vibe. It was none of that. It was an old Baptist church, you guys. I mean, there was no drum set. There was no bass guitar. There was no LED screen. There was no movie theater style seating. I mean, it was an everyday church, okay? And pews and all. And I was sitting in there. And as I'm sitting there listening to the sermon and just like listening to how the church flow is going, I realized that there was such a reminder of my roots. So I didn't grow up in the church, but when I first got saved, I would go down to this local church off my campus. And I would go down there during the weekdays, and it was an old church. The doors were always unlocked. And I would go in there and I would just spend time with the Lord. That would be my time to go run, but that most all was my time to go be with God, like to get out. At the time, too, I had roommates and all. And so here's actually a picture of me back after. And see, I was literally there by myself. So one day I actually brought my camera, or was it my phone? I used something and I took this picture of myself. This church was so old. There was nothing there but me in the presence of God, y'all. And I would go in there and I would sing and I would pray and I would get in touch with the Lord in that church. There would be nobody there. And you know what happened is I noticed I noticed that there was just so much peace I had in that church. And it was not about who I was going to connect with. It wasn't about, oh, is the church people going to come in here? Is somebody going to watch how I'm praying? Is somebody going to see my hands lifted high? Is someone going to know that my heart is genuine? Is someone going to realize that I really love the Lord? It was just me and the Lord. So I could be very vulnerable. Some days I would be very hurt and crying about life and relationships. Other days I would be talking to God about, I don't know why I feel called to this stuff and this is heavy and how is this even going to work? How will I ever make money? What does my life hold? Like I was in all of that I would go to God and talked about. And I would go to this local church And I talked about in the devotional that God is taking you back to your roots, because I was sitting at that Baptist church not too long ago. And when I was sitting there, I remembered that it was not about a lot of stuff. It was about the simple gospel. And it reminded me of just when I first started my walk with God. It wasn't about who knew my name. It wasn't about how much tasks I had to get done that day. It was about, I had my life, I was in school, but then I had Jesus. And Jesus was this whole thing that that's all that it mattered. And that's all that the beauty of the simplicity of that. That it wasn't about, did I do my devotion so great this morning? It was that I know after class, I'm going to get down to that church. I knew it. Like I knew it. I knew when my day ended, like, oh man, I have this study group tonight at 8, but I think I'm going to try to get down to that church between 5 and 6 today. Right? And the key was, though, it wasn't about the presence that was everybody else's presence. His presence was there. And if his presence showed up, his presence was always there. And if I showed up just one day a week, I was going to step into his presence. And I think that's what God had to remind me of the simple gospel. There was no big screen there. It was just me and Jesus. And I think I need to remind you that today, that your walk is just you and Jesus. It's not your favorite pastor. It's not what the one person said as how you're supposed to do devotion and how you're supposed to walk with the Lord. Because in those seasons when it was just me and Jesus, I was struggling the most. I was struggling the most with who I once was. I was struggling the most with my identity and kind of getting a new identity. I was struggling with my future. I was struggling with, like, do I finish out this degree that I don't have a desire for, God? I was struggling with so much, honestly. And I knew God was calling me to ministry, but I'm sitting here finishing up a biology degree. And so I was struggling with the future. I was struggling with identity. But every time I would come to that church and I would get alone in this place, I would always leave more peaceful. I would always leave more at peace, more in joy, more in an understanding. I would always leave his presence better than I came in. And so I was sitting in that Baptist church and I said, God, why do you bring me back sometimes? And he said, I bring you back to remember your roots. I bring you back. So no matter how big it gets, no matter how many dreams and places I take you, no matter how many mentors and people you have in your ear, no matter how many sermons and words and prophetic things that you have sitting around you on your desk and notes, no matter how deep you got to go, I want you to remember how simple this thing is. You see, I want you to remember today, daughter of God, I don't know if you're called to something. I don't know if you're set apart for something, but I want you to remember how simple it is. And the Lord had to let me know in that church, sitting there, Morgan, I know we've gone so far and I know we got all these things around us and all this pressure, but I really want you to remember, as long as you show up week after week with my simple gospel, you will be blessed, that I will continue to show up in your ministry. I didn't say as long as you show up week after week with making more money. I didn't tell you as long as you show up week after week with a new hairstyle. I didn't tell you to show up week after week with just a new big revelation for someone to receive. I didn't tell you to show up week after week with the prophetic word. I didn't tell you to show up week after week with a new plan and program that you're trying to launch. No, I said as long as you show up week after week with me, Jesus, in the simple gospel, I will be there. And he had to remind me that, Morgan, you came to that church back then, week after week. You didn't come for a message because there was nobody there. You didn't come for a prophetic word because there was nobody there. You didn't come to be seen because there was nobody there. You didn't come for any other reason but that I would be there. And I want to ask you today, make sure when you're doing this and doing the purpose and doing the call that you're only coming week after week because Jesus is going to be there. Okay? And that's why I said that the word God gave me is like getting back to your roots, because he had to give me that word sitting in that Baptist church on my roots, like where I come from. And that right there can be so powerful because it shows you where you're going to. And it's called, like, it's humbles you. It centers you. When you have all these goals, let's say you got people saying, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. You're so amazing. You did this good. You did this good. When you get back to your roots, that you realize none of this matters. Like our mother is like real one thing. None of this matters. None of this matters. None of it matters. Compared. None of it compares to those moments I had in that church. I would give up all this to have those moments. Because that is what really matters. The simple gospel. And so I dropped that word on our website this week on the weekly devotional about getting back to your roots. And I want to read it because it's a little more, because I'm trying to tell y'all, my gift, y'all, is I have a gift in speaking, but I have a powerful gift in writing. That's how I kind of discovered my gift in speaking was in writing. Okay. So that's why I do weekly devotionals. I write blogs, I write books, I write all my stuff. Many of my sermons have already been written before I speak it because I'm a writer, right? So I want to tell you this. It says, sitting in an old Baptist church listening to the preacher, my mind was wandering around the room, noticing the lack of technology in that church. There was no big screen, no amazing graphics. There was no drum set or even a bass guitar, no fancy lights or movie theater style seating. However, sitting in that place, I realized the simplicity of the gospel. I remembered back to when I first fell in love with Jesus. There was no band, no choir, just me and him in that small little dorm room when I was 19 years old. 2 years later, I felt so lost and heartbroken in my life, and God led me to an old church where there were no fancy lights, there were no big screens. It was just a pulpit and some pews, and that is where I saw and found God. Now, at 30 years old, I smile when I find myself at an old church. It reminds me of my roots. It reminds me of when I first fell in love with Jesus. It reminds me of where I came from. And most of all, it reminds me of where I'm going. As I sat in that old Baptist church looking at all it was lacking, I quickly wondered, why did God bring me back to a place like this? It was truly for the simple gospel. The preacher didn't speak longer than 35 minutes. The choir sang a few songs and the service was over. But I had to be reminded that no matter how far I go in life, God will send me back to my roots. No matter how big the ministry grows, God always reminds me of the simplicity of his gospel. It showed me that my office space didn't need the new lights that I was waiting on, or even the new creative videos that I was feeling like I wanted to invest money in. As long as I showed up week after week with the simple gospel, God would continue to show up in the ministry. I share with you to not get upset about the places God has sent you back to. Don't get discouraged when you feel like you're not doing it as big as you desire. Don't throw in the towel when it isn't growing like someone else's. Don't forget the root of why you do what you do. Don't forget the root of why you fell in love with Jesus. That was our devotional for this Monday that I dropped on our ministry's website, hisdaughter'scloset.com. And that right there spoke to me because I can see these things now today. Like my normal is way different than that old church, you know? My normal today is a lot different. But that is what got me here. That is my root. Those going alone in that old church is what allowed me to start speaking in that old church by myself. You see, I remember in that old church being by myself enough, I learned how to, and I said it, I found my voice in that old church. I found my call in that church. I was by myself when I learned that you can pray out loud, Morgan. When I learned that you can go up there to that mic, even though it's not on, go up there and preach your sermon. Do it now while no one's here. Get the courage now to go up there and just do the whole thing. Because one day you're going to have to really do it and people are going to be in the room. I found my voice in that old church. I found the presence of God in that old church. I found courage in that old church. I remember I got an opportunity to speak a couple weeks before. I remember I would go to that old church and I would go up there and I would speak because I was so scared. I would practice it. And so by the time it was officially time for me to speak to people in person, and these were college age students, and I was in college as well, I had the courage. I had the courage. It's so beautiful when you really think about your story, but I do believe the Lord is wanting to take so many of us back to our roots. I think there's a, and this might not just be on those spiritual faith-based stuff either. This could be on the root of loving again, the root of where you had, when you had so much confidence. Like he wants to take you back to your roots. Like he wants to take you back to a genuine love with him. And I think that's what a big thing the Lord highlighted to me in this is like there are times when the ministry gets so heavy for you, but I want you to remember there was a time it wasn't. There was a time it wasn't. There was time when it was only about you getting down to that church because you had so much to talk to me about, but you was gonna wait for me to talk to you. Yeah, like there was a time when you could not wait to get away because you were gonna get down there and you were gonna spend some time and you were gonna find your peace. You're gonna find your covering. And I think that right there is some of the best memories I have, honestly. Like it feels like a lifetime ago. I'm not gonna lie, because it's been some years now. I've been out of school for like 17. So that was like when I first found that church. That was like 14, 13, 14, and 15. Yeah. So 17 is when I finally left Langston. So yeah, that's been some years ago now. It's been like 10 years ago when I first found that church. And it was such a blessing to just to be there and to have that place. And I don't even know honestly, I was driving around in my car one day and I felt like I was looking for something. And maybe at the time I didn't know like the Holy Spirit will lead you to do things. I didn't know that. I was so early in my walk. But I was driving around in my car one day and there was this old church. And I love just like looking at old churches sometimes. And I went to the window. I got in my car and I went looked and I was like, it's got red carpet. Like this is such an old church. Like you could just see how the make of it was so old. And I'm like looking through the window and I'm like, this is so old. And the only church, because I went to many churches, but all the doors were locked. I opened the door and it just opens right up. I walk in, there's this big cross, very simple church, all these pews. And I was like, is someone here? And I was like, hello, hello. But this is such an old church. They literally, the doors to the church are always open. Like they always left these doors open. They always did. Um, and I didn't know that at the time. So I'm like thinking someone else is here and no one else would ever be there. I came one time, I think, in those 3 years where someone else was there, and I had art. But then I also went during some of they did have a small congregation, and they had church on Sunday, and it maybe was barely an hour. And so I had went to a couple of their services, and I had let the pastor know that I was coming in there, and I was at this campus that or the college that was right there beside this church, not too far off. I let him know like I'm from that campus and I come here like sometimes during the week and I pray and I told him I appreciate him for keeping those doors open because I had a roommate and I really didn't have a place of solitude and that church became that. And I got to sit with the Lord in that church by myself. I got to sit in the pews. Sometimes I would just get on the floor and just lay there at that altar and just talk to God, you know? There was a time I actually fell asleep in there. That's how peaceful it is, y'all. Like that is how peaceful that presence would be. There was a time I was on the floor at the altar laying there talking to God and I fell asleep. I woke up and it was like the sun was setting. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that. I think that only happened like once or twice, but I literally that's how peaceful the Lord is, though. I ain't gonna lie, even to this day, like I can go say, like, I'm about to go sit with the Lord be talking to the Lord be talking to me, fall asleep, and then wake up like, now daddy, I was really trying to talk to you. But it's just so peaceful. But yeah, I did. I actually fell asleep on the floor in that church. I forgot about that. So there's just so much really great memories I have. But the Lord highlighted that this week to me. And the thing about it is I thought it was kind of just, oh, I was just going to this church with a friend, this is here recent. When I went to this church, but when I was sitting in there, the Lord began to speak to me and said, did you see that there's no big lights? Do you see that there's no LED screen? Do you see that there's some pews here? Do you see there's not a lot of technology in here? Not saying the technology is bad, it's beautiful. He's like, but he's just showing me like he had to remind me of my roots and remind me of the simple gospel. And because I am a YouTuber and I am a ministry founder, I always sometimes want my stuff to look like someone else's, or I want my background to look like this, or I'm always sometimes wanting, oh, I like how that church did it, or I like how that person did that. Like, how can I do my version of that? And the Lord kind of just showed me, like, sometimes, sis, you don't need all that. If you show up with the simple gospel week after week after week, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out. And the Lord gave me the rubric right there in that church. He said, I will show up and show out for your ministry if you embrace the simplicity of me, because it wasn't this deep when you met me. It wasn't this heavy when it was just me and you in the cut. But it's when it became me, you, and all these other people, and all these other responsibilities, and all these other views, and all these other thoughts, and all these other people say you got to do it like this or like this. It wasn't about that. It was just me and you. And so I think that right there is just such an eye-opening moment for me, and why I wanted to share that with you. And so, anyways, y'all, that really wasn't my whole gist of getting on here. But I want to just tell people that there's so many things sometimes that we walk away from without realizing it. And I don't think I realized that I had walked away from the simplicity of my walk with God. It got real deep. It got real heavy. And maybe it's because over time, also trying to get this degree, become a theologian, all this stuff, it can get really deep and it can get really like, gosh, there's still so much more to know. But girl, it's simple. It's simple. It's us. And it's sometimes condemnation. Sometimes it's judgmental spirits. Sometimes it's, oh, what are they going to think about me? Uh, what do those people think about me? Do I even feel like I belong? They know I don't belong. All that is what can really get in the way of a true, authentic relationship with God. And the Lord just highlighted that to me this week. So, sis, don't let nothing, don't let nothing get in the way, come into your relationship with God. Y'all two are like this. And that's what I always say. There's times I have wanted to leave the ministry because it's been heavy, but I've never wanted to leave Jesus. That's like saying I might want to leave this job, because you might have a job, but that don't mean I want God to leave. I don't want to leave Jesus. I just want to leave the job, right? And so I think you got to understand that if there's ever a time in your life where you want to leave Jesus, the key is that Jesus loves you, but maybe you're not fully in love with Jesus, right? Now, and I'm not saying sin. Sin is different. So sin and leaving Jesus are very different. So if you want to say with your mouth and confess with your mouth that you wanted to bounce from Jesus, that's what I'm talking about. Now, making a mistake, now having a fall, now failing, you're human. That's what grace is going to do. It's going to catch you. I have had many failures and falls on this journey. Even my first few years of my walk, I was like, I'm not going to drink no more. I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to have sex. And I did everything I said I wasn't going to do. I did everything I said I was not going to do. Okay. So I want to tell you, this journey is there. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you getting to a place where you want to truly in your heart, just like bounce from Jesus. Like, this is too much. I don't want this no more. He's too difficult. I don't even care like that. If you have that, then the issue is not that Jesus don't love you. No, he loves you regardless. It's that you don't love Jesus. And I think that is what has changed my walk, is that in that church, and maybe a little before that church, I fell in love with Jesus. Now, I knew Jesus loved me. And then even to this day, I know Jesus loves me. Even when I have fallen in the bed, even when I have sinned, I know he loves me. I know he loves me. But there were seasons in the beginning of my walk where I did not love Jesus, and it showed. It showed because I had no desire for Jesus. I had no hunger for Jesus or even his people. Because if you love Jesus, Jesus will have you loving his people, right? Just because that's who he is, that's his spirit. If you love Jesus, you're going to have a love and compassion and just a joy for people, right? And so that started to produce in me as I fell in love with Jesus. Also, too, we talk about the fruits of the Spirit. Certain things will start to produce in you as you begin to fall in love with Jesus. It comes to knowledge of this. Like, think about a parent, or think about a parent with their kid. The kid knows that, oh, mommy loves me. Mommy loves me. Mommy loves me. But how do you know that kid loves that parent? Because how that kid is with that parent. that kid just adores that parent. That kid tries to, oh, mommy, I'll help you. Oh, okay, daddy, watch this. Like that kid is showing them. Now, I'm not saying the kid don't make mistakes. See, that's where grace comes in. As the parent, you're like, oh, you messed up there. Okay, let's correct this. That's the mistake that was made. But the love is still there from both ends. And I think sometimes we know Jesus loves us, but sometimes we don't love Jesus. And that's where an issue might come up. A kid that you know does not love their parents, we see it in the news all the time. The kid will end up trying to kill the parent, or the kid will end up doing some really crazy things to the parent. The kid will punch the parent. The kid will slap the parent. You see what I'm saying? Kind of wild, right? So just saying those things, there's sometimes you can see it. So I want you to like think about your walk with God, and if there's ever a time where you have wanted to leave Jesus, then you say, Lord, produce in me a love for you. Help me fall in love with you. And maybe there was a time you did love Jesus, okay? Or something like that. Or you did. And I'm not talking on just faith alone. I'm talking on just love. Like you genuinely love the characteristics of him. You love his heart. You know what I mean? And I will say this, like there was a time when people used to tell me like, you shouldn't be ministering, you shouldn't be speaking. And I was really hurt by that. And I was hurt by God. I was hurt like, why would you give me this gift if now in the scriptures it's telling me it's wrong to use it? Like it's really specific in Timothy that I'm not supposed to be speaking as a woman, and I'm not supposed to have authority, and I'm not supposed to be talking like this. But you giving me these gifts. And I was kind of upset with the Lord. And then he took me to John chapter 4 with the woman at the well, how she had an encounter with Jesus, and then she ran back and told everyone in her community. It said she even told the authorities. She told everybody, and everybody started to come to Jesus because of her testimony. And the Lord said, that's who you are. You are the woman at the well. You had an encounter with me, and now you're running around telling everybody about this encounter. And I will say that made me fall so much more in love with God when I realized it wasn't what I thought it was. Like, I remember that, like, I felt madly. I fell so in love after that. Like, oh, there was like, okay, so it wasn't what I thought, but then also like, you're so loving. Like, you had an encounter with me. Like, I could have just ran on and kept going with my life, but now you're wanting me to bring more people to this area or whatever. It's beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm ranting today. I'm ranting, but your roots, girl, your roots. God wants to take you back to your roots. Like that was the whole message of this week. And so what I decided to do to align to my roots, you can't see it because it's on my computer screen, but I'm always on my computer all the time, every day, just about. Actually, there's probably not really one day that goes throughout a week that I do not open up my computer. And the background on my computer has been this really just like basic, like, gradient image, just a gradient color across my back screen. And the other night, I was sitting down and I thought, this thought. Now, this is how I say when I know God is speaking to me, because the thoughts are not my thoughts. The thoughts are higher than my thoughts. This is an evening when I would rather not. I've been on my computer all day. I'd rather not get on my computer. I'd rather be chilling, watching a YouTube video, listen to a sermon, eating some food, like chilling. I'm chilling, and it's time to go to bed almost. So I'm getting my tea and stuff together, and I hear, let's put something different on the back of your computer screen. And I was like, oh, I guess I'd have to go create something in Canva. Like, I don't feel like doing it. But it came back to me again. Like, we need to change the back of your computer screen. And I thought, why? Because I'm just like, I'm on it every day. I don't really care what's back there, just as long as it works. That's all that matters to me. And it's like, but you're looking at it a lot every day. So let's put some stuff in there that aligns to what I've told you. So what I did is I went on Canva, for canva.com, FREE, and I made a new back screen, and it's kind of like a collage style back screen, and it's cute. It's cute, but it was stuff that I'm going to airdrop this to my phone so I can show you guys from here, because it's really simple and cute. But the thing about it is, sis, if there is something that you are looking at every single day, make sure it's the things that you need to be looking at. Okay. And I'm speaking this because I think the Lord had to highlight me. Morgan, you're on your camera or you're on your laptop every single day. And many times you're not looking at the background of your screen, but you're passing it by. You are passing that mug by. So, with that being said, let's add some stuff here to keep you aligned to your roots, but also to align you to what I'm calling you to do in this season. So, let me turn this sideways. Okay, so this is the new screen I have on the back of my laptop screen. I have some things I desire, things I'm wanting to reach. I have a picture of me really young because I have to remember, like be that's who you are, girl. Be good to her. I have some goals I have, personal things, but also too, I put things here that just align, and there's words on here that's like keep the faith, different things I have, like different goals. But then in this middle says be fearless. So I did this based off of fearlessness. I didn't do this based off what I think I can attain right now. A lot of the stuff that I'm not there yet. I can't attain some of these things right now, right? But if I'm being fearless, what is my biggest things that I want to attain? So the Lord put that on my spirit at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night the other night. So I sat there and I designed that. And then that's when I kind of was like, yeah, if you're looking at something every single day, make sure those things align to what God has been telling you. If God told me that I'm going to get a particular screen in here, put something on my phone that aligns to that. And my phone is a little different. I always create new phone backgrounds every so often. When I reach new goals, I create a phone background. So do you see? I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to think what is one on here. That girl, I have been needing to create a Christian night routine. I put it on the back of my phone because I'm like, I don't know when you're going to get to it, but you're going to get to it. And it's just like reminders for myself. There's a picture up here in the corner of like some food and stuff. Down here, eat healthier. So when I look, I'm trying to program my mind to eat healthier, right? So it's just little stuff like that that the Lord will highlight to me. And the other night, He highlighted to me the back of my computer screen. And He told me that this is the stuff I put that's really big, though. This is the stuff I put that I feel can be low key unattainable. This is the stuff I feel like I put on here too. What it was one I put my books in Walmart. Like I want my books in Walmart, Target, like on the shelves. That feels very big to me. Okay, it really does. But God told me put the big things here. Oh, you want that home? Put that there. Is that if that takes you a year, if that takes you 4 years, that takes you 7 years, be willing to go on the long journey with me. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And God is like, if I gave you that, all that now, if I gave you the dream car and the dream home and the books in the store, and I gave you the marriage, and I gave you the baby, and I gave you this, if I gave you all that right now, you would not know what to do with it because you're not ready for that. If I dropped you $1 million right now, you don't have a plan for that yet. So I need you to sit down and I need you to write up a plan for $10,000. I need you to write up a plan for $5,000. And I want to tell you this. The first time in my ministry, I knew I needed some money. God says, create me a plan. And I was like, He's like, because if I gave you the 5,000 or 10,000, where would it go? I had no clue. So you know what I had to do? I had to sit down as if I had a $10,000 check. And I had to say, okay, 3,000 goes into admin. That's overhead. And then I said, okay, out of that three, okay, now we got 5,000 that's going to go into programs. And that's going to run our programs, go into the programs. And then we have this other 2,000 right here that we're going to put into fundraising and marketing. So this right here is where we're going to be using, maybe ordering new business cards, getting a new signage, just marketing. I had a $10,000 plan where everything was going to go and how it was going to be worked out. And then you know what happened shortly after I got that? So many times God does not give us things because we don't have a plan for it, right? And so that's what I'm realizing that, and I'm sharing that with you right here. Have a plan for what you want. If you're asking God for, let me think. If you're asking God to send you back into school or do something like that, have a plan for how you're going to make that work in your life. How are you going to make that work in your schedule? I just got a blessing a week ago about some stuff with school. And so then real quickly, I was like, okay, now we're working on Saturdays again. See, I've been working on Saturdays and Sundays because I'm not in school. I'm like, but we need to get our schedule back right because we're going to be in school before we know it. Even if it takes me another 6 months, we're going to be in school before I know it. So I adjusted my schedule. We're working on Saturdays again. We're working on Saturdays again. Also, too, we got some quotas to reach. All right, what does that look like? Maybe we have a marketing thing every other week. Maybe we have to do this every few days, whatever. So I want you, daughter of God, and I have a video dropping Monday really about the tangibility part, the tangible parts of God, the tangible things God wants us to do. So that video is gonna, I know, bless so many of you because it blessed me. So this is just some really great ways on if you are seeking God for a blessing. Doesn't mean you have to work. Don't mean you got to go make the blessing come and figure it out. No, no, no. You just have the faith and you move forward with whatever it is God needs you to move forward with. So let's say you're like, man, I really want my books in Walmart one day. Like, let's say you say that about like I said, and then you never ever sit down to practice your writing. You never watch a video on how to write your first book. You never do anything. And so guess what? When he can't bless you with that opportunity yet because you're not ready for it. Because then you're going to get this blessing of an opportunity and you have never even wrote. You never wrote a book. You never wrote a chapter. You don't even know how to get started. You never even went and asked somebody about some questions. You never took a little online 20-minute course to help you figure out how to write your first book. You don't even have an outline. You don't have a title. You don't have anything. So it's like, you know what? Let her get all these things right there kind of in a row to when bam, when I bless her with it, she can maintain the blessing. She can maintain the blessing. So I want to just encourage you, girl. This is some very practical ways on how you get ready for your blessing. For example, okay, let me show you this. So right here where we're sitting, this was kind of my recording area. I had the greenery, if you don't remember, back here on the wall. After like a few videos, I just said like, this is just an eyesore to me. I don't like it. I stood here for a minute, kind of figuring out what do I want to do with my little recording area. This whole wall, I specifically designed this little nook over here to be a recording spot. And I said, if I wanted, I might eventually throw a wall and kind of turn this into its own recording room. Okay. But anyways, that's what I was thinking. And then I thought, well, what's my big dream for this area? And you know, my big dream for this area, let me step back. Now, am I there yet? No, to be able to do that. But my big dream for this area back here is to have an LED screen that I stand in front of and I preach a word and we can just, and I can design graphics really well. Thank you, Jesus. And I can just throw the graphics back there and have different backdrops every time I preach a word. It could be different titles. It could be different messages, whatever. It could just be moving graphics. That's a dream. But you know how much those things cost? Those things cost like $40,000, $50,000. So them things you see at them churches with them big old screens up there, they cost some money, y'all. The cheap end is 20, starting rate maybe 20,000, right? So if that's something I want one day, that's a really big goal. But see, God had to take me back to the simple gospel. Okay. He's like, you don't really need that. But if that is a goal you have, daughter, and if you think that's going to bless the ministry one day, that might take you a while to be able to drop 40,000 on something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what we got. But we're going to also believe in faith that as I keep working and keep moving and keep showing up to the simple gospel and keep speaking and keep showing up, somehow, some way that's going to that's going to be had and it's going to happen for us. But right now, I don't have to force it. I have to just trust the simple gospel. I have to trust the journey, and I understand that thing will come. And that's what I want to tell you today. Like, there is some practical ways. Why would God bless me with a big LED screen? Why would he bless me with a new camera if I'm not even recording on the camera I have on my phone? Why would God bless me with that whole plan if I'm not even being consistent enough to put in the work? So when he does give me that big blessing, I'll be using it. There are some of us who have cameras or laptops or software that we never use. I used to have these microphones that I didn't use for almost a whole year. Why? I just wasn't willing to use them. So, of course, God ain't going to bless me with something bigger if I'm not using what he gave me. Okay? And I know I'm going in over here, my bad. And so I want to encourage you guys that, like I said, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So I already know, Morgan, if you show up week after week with the simple gospel, God just gave me that word, getting back to the roots. If you show up week after week with the simple gospel, one day, that LED screen you want in here is going to be in here. Period, point blank. Because now I'm walking in the process of that blessing. So I said, God, I can't figure it out. I can't make it happen, but I can just do with what you gave me. You told me to show up week after week and do what you told me, and I'm going to do it. And some way, somehow, that mug going to end up in here. You know what, Lord? I don't know. I don't have the credit right now. I don't have the credit, and I don't have the money to buy the home that I would love to buy. And I also I have the money, but I don't think it's smart right now to buy the vehicle that I would love to buy because I got all these other debts. So you know what? I'm gonna keep what I have. I'm gonna keep living a little slim. And I'm gonna keep using my gift. I'm gonna keep working my job. I'm gonna keep working my ground because I'm gonna believe that at the right moment, I'm gonna walk in to where my credit is better. That one little debt got paid off, and now that I can go get that home, or I can go get that car, and it won't be a burden. It'll actually be a blessing. See, and I have to tell you guys, this is something I'm literally working through right now. I had an opportunity to get a new car. I still kind of have it right now. The opportunity to go just get this brand new spanking new car that I really, really want. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, I want it. They were, going to be getting it shipped over here soon and everything. And I was like, I took some time with it, and I thought, well, you know what, Morgan, you still want to buy a home. And you know that the more debt you have on you, the cheaper your home loan will be, right? So I was like, so if you hold off with your little bitty Chevy Cruze that's pretty much paid off, pay that little bad boy off by the end of the year. You keep that though, even though it's paid off, you keep it. You keep driving around in the little Chevy Cruze, girl. Keep it. And now your debt, you keep paying off your debt. Now your debt to income ratio is looking really nice. You get the home loan that you want. And then from there, you can go ahead and go after you get the home loan, get the home. Then you can go and get a new vehicle where now the vehicle is not going to burden you because, look, you paid off some debt, as well as now you are at a place where going and getting the vehicle is not going to be a burden. It's not going to hinder you down the road. Let's say they will give you a $125,000 home loan right now. But if you paid that car off and you don't go get a new vehicle and you keep that little car, they might give you a $300,000 home loan, right? $500,000 home loan. They could increase that based off of your debt to income ratio. So you have to start thinking long term, people, especially and if you're young and like 21, I'm not trying to put pressure on you. No. But I'm just telling you, if there are things you're praying to God about, and I'm praying to God about a home, I'm praying to God about another vehicle, I'm praying to God about LED screens and all that stuff. I'm praying to God about these things. And if there are things I'm praying to God about, then I got to be willing to put myself in position to when he brings that, I'm ready for it. Because what if the day comes? What if it's 6 months from now? The Lord said, this is the day she's going to get her. That home I have for her is ready. But then I look up and I'm not ready. I'm not ready for it. What if in a year from now, God says that LED screen is going to be in here, beautiful. But then we get to that year from now and I'm not consistent. I'm not showing up. I'm not even on YouTube no more because I just kind of got too lazy and comfortable with my life. Or I started making good money and I just kind of said, I don't want to minister no more. So what you have to do is you got to work. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. So I'm sorry. I gave you some real practical tips and stuff like out of the roots and stuff. I just want to encourage you. That is faith, is when you say, this is what I desire, God. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I trust you with it. And I'm going to continue to walk on the path that you've given me. I'm going to continue to trust you. I'm going to put in the work. And I believe that the day going to come that the LED screen's going to be in here. The whip is going to be outside. My home is going to be there. And I'm going to be good. I believe that day is coming for me. I believe it wholeheartedly. I believe it. But now is my time to work for it. It's my time to believe for it. My work can be my faith and prayer. My work can be how I show up day after day for myself and for my dreams and for you ladies. That is my work. So I want to encourage you, if you need some help with this, let's say you're like, dang, Morgan, you make this sound so easy. You make this sound so breezy. Like, I don't even know where to get started. Like, if you're one of those, I've been you. I am you at times. But I will tell you guys, I have been doing some one-on-one calls, coaching calls with some ladies. And I just dropped the link because one backed out and after we started scheduling some people and stuff, we realized we still had some slots left. So as of yesterday, no, as of, was it yesterday? I think so. As of yesterday, we had 5 spots left if somebody wanted to get on a coaching call with me. And that's kind of what they are. They're very faith led, but they're also real practical. I give them some practical things to do. For example, I was talking to a girl the other day. She has a brand. And it's kind of up and coming, but she's struggling with her marketing. She's not consistent. She didn't really know what to do sometimes. She gets overwhelmed and kind of gives up. Um, and so, with that being said, she gets really down on herself. And so, I gave her some of the stuff that I felt like the Lord was highlighting, also things she should work on. And it's some beliefs. And the Lord spoke directly to some things that I know I didn't know, but she knew. And it brought tears to her eyes and everything. But once that moment, the Lord got practical with her and gave her some practical things to do. All right, here's your new uploading schedule. This is how you're going to market some things. This is how you're going to do this. I mean, I'm trying to tell you, girl, sometimes you just need somebody else to come in and help you along the journey. And I say this all the time, you guys. I'm in counseling. I have a counselor, great woman. And honestly, sometimes I just need somebody to help me along the journey. I have had a life coach before. I always say this, if it wasn't for my life coach, we would have never got our first office because I needed somebody to help me along the journey to say, hey, this is how you do it. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you can't even imagine how you're going to do it, but this is how you do it. You go do this. And my life coach had her own little office. And so she said, this is what you do. You go around, you do this, you get this budget, you think of the overhead costs, you do this. Can you afford it? But can you not afford it? This is what you need to do. Blah, blah. How many months is that going to take you if you can't afford it? She set me up. She set me up, y'all. She set me up and now today I'm sitting in an office that we built out now in a whole nother office. Sorry, y'all, I have a hair in my jacket and it's itching me. But sometimes you need someone to come along a journey with you and kind of assist you on your journey. And if you've been feeling stuck and you have felt like, man, Morgan's talking on some practical things, but I don't even know where to get started. Girl, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Your sisters are here for you. I have so many powerful resources and stuff, but also too, if you want to get like 1, 2, 3 steps, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you want that, I would encourage you, click that link. Check out one of those spots. I think there's only 5 spots left. Maybe you'll be one of the 5. I pray you will be. And if not, though, don't overthink things. And like I said, if there's something you desire, I believe there's a girl on here that may actually desire a new job. If there's a new job you desire, tell the Lord the kind of job you desire. And now work your current one while applying and finding jobs like that. Now, let's say the job isn't even to work for anybody else. What if it's to work for yourself? So work your current job, but then keep building the job you desire to have for yourself. So in the meantime, you're working and God is going to allow that to come in together. You know what I mean? So I just want to encourage you to have such a peace about your life and where God is taking you, but also to know we don't got all day. I would love to say we all got 80 years left, 60 years left, 90 years left, but we don't even know that. We truly don't know that. So why not, with the time you have left, show up. Show up for what God has told you. Show up for the things you desire and put in the work that is necessary to have those things. Okay? I used to drive past these really big homes. I mean, like mansion style homes. And I'd be like, man, what is that like? What is that like not to worry financially? What is that? I remember asking God, I can't even imagine what it's like to have a year worth of your bills just sitting in your account already paid. Just a year worth of the money of your bills. You ain't worried about nothing. I don't know. I mean, I grew up in poverty too, y'all. Okay. So I'm like talking to the Lord, like, I don't know what that's like. And the Lord said, you will, but there's a work that has to be done to get that. And it's not just a physical work, it's a faith work. You got to believe you can have that. You got to believe I got that for you. But then also on another level, Your belief has to follow through with action. And that is how you show God you believe. If you say, God, I believe you, your word, but you never get up. The example, if the mama says, I believe, like, oh, the mom, someone says you're pregnant, and she's like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. She says she's never pregnant, right? Quickly in her actions, you're gonna realize, does she believe she's pregnant? If she's drinking, if she's doing all this crazy stuff, you're gonna be like, oh no, she don't believe it. But now she starts operating differently. She starts, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put that in my body. Staying away from the coffee for a little bit. She starts moving differently. When you believe God's word, you got to start moving differently, right? When God speaks a word to you, daughter of God, you got to start moving based off that word. If God told me that there's going to be an LED screen over here, I remember I was wanting to paint this wall and do stuff with it. The Lord said, oh, I'm moving differently. We're going to go ahead and set this little thing up, keep it, maybe clean it up, put some extra lights in here, whatever. But we know what the big goal is. So I'm going to start moving differently. I'm not going to let nobody touch this wall. We're not changing out this wall. We're not breaking this wall. We're moving differently. Okay. So I want to encourage you with that, girl. When God give you a word, you got to move differently. I remember when the Lord said, you're going to move out of this place to another place. I had to start packing, even though I had no money, had not looked at no places. I had to start packing in faith because I was time to start moving differently. Girl, God has given you a word. It's time to start moving differently. I'm speaking to somebody right now. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I don't know why the Lord just dropped this like he just did, but I'm going to have to say it again. God, I think God is wanting us to realize and to know, y'all, I got to tell you this. When God gives you a word, it's time. When God gives you a word, your faith is going to show up because you're moving differently. If God gives you a word and you don't start moving differently based off that word, you're not showing God you have faith. So if God tells you about to move out of the city, you don't have no money, but you're going to start packing in faith, packing one box. You start moving based off the word God gave you. If God gave you the word that you're going to get another vehicle, you start looking at your debts and start moving a little differently because you're getting ready for that new blessing. If God says that you're getting ready to get something that you've been praying for, you kind of start moving differently and preparing because now you're believing God for that word. Daughters of God, I want to tell you today that it's time to start moving differently based off the word God has given you. If you're still moving the same way even after he gave you the word, then maybe you didn't believe the word. So it's time that if God says, Morgan, you're getting ready to step into a new season and you're going to be producing at another level. So now I'm starting to look at things differently. I'm starting to get a different viewpoint. I'm starting to study a little different. I'm starting to prepare differently based off of the word the Lord gave me. Okay. So that's why I'm going to tell you guys, you've got to move differently once you receive that word of the Lord. And that's how you show God you believe his word. That's how you show him. That's how you show God you believe his word. And so, I mean, y'all, I'm already been on here 52 minutes. Okay. I didn't really plan to. I was supposed to talk to y'all about roots and everything else, but that I'm going to have to put that in a whole nother video. And so I really, really want you guys to really think about this and pray about this, about God taking you back to your roots. Next thing is, if God has gave you a word, how are you moving in that word? Are you moving in faith? Are you believing? Or are you still operating in the same fear and the same stuck place? How are you moving on your word? If God gave you a word, it's time to start moving differently, sis. Okay? It's time to start moving differently. And I say this because the Lord just gave me a word not too long ago. No, you're not talking on the Esther fast. Some of us got some words on the Esther fast. Okay, y'all, I ain't even gonna lie. I need to eventually do a video just sharing all the testimonies on the screen or something and just reading the testimonials because we have gotten so many testimonies that girls were just sending to our email. I got testimonies in my DMs on Instagram that I was trying to screenshot because I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all. There's just so many testimonies from that fast. Beautiful. But if you are one of them people that received a word, that got a word, got a revelation during that fast, you should be moving a little different now, sis. You should be moving a little different now. If you got the word of your relationship, that marriage, you should be moving a little different. You should be feel a little more secure, a little more, okay? If you got that relationship word for the singles, there's another level you should be moving now. If you got that word of suddenly that he dropped prophetically, you should be moving a little different. If he got that breakout word as well, moving a little different now. Okay. So I'm just really encouraging you with that. Like when God give you a word, says how you show him you have faith is you move differently. So I want to encourage anybody, if you are so excited and ready to just step out on faith in your personal life, if there's some things holding you back and you feel like you're ready to move in faith, then I want to encourage you. Click that link right there. I just dropped it again. And also have a pin. We have 5 spots left. Somebody just said they just booked. So we might have less than 5 spots now. But I just want to encourage you, if you are somebody who is going on this journey and wants, more to do, you should really, really consider getting help, even if it's not me. Even if it's not me, you could go get help from someone else. Also, I have a lot. Oh, I have a lot of free resources. But next week, signups are dropping for the 5 day. Okay, let me get it right. I had to think about it because I'm butchering the thought. Okay, next week I'm dropping a sign up form for the 5 day breakout and purpose challenge. So for 5 days, not starting next week. Next week is the sign up week. Um, So if you're not on my email list, get on the email list, get on there. Cause that might be, if you can't afford, getting a coach call, this might be, that's why we do free stuff. Cause I never want money to stop you from doing the thing God has called you to do. So hopefully, yeah, someone said the 100 is much for me. That's real. So that's why we have a lot of free things inside of the ministry. So next week, sign up forms will start. Sign up links will be dropped out in the ministry for the 5 day breakout and purpose challenge. Every day I'm taking you through a challenge to help you break out of the barriers. It's helping you take action, helping you say, this is the word. This is what I got to do to move. This is what I got to do to get in alignment with that word, right? So I want to help you with that next week. So signups is next week. And so the 5 day purpose breakout in your purpose challenge, I know is going to bless you. I actually was sitting at my desk earlier and I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like doing something and the Lord gave me one of the things that we have to work on. And I'm like, ooh, like, okay, Lord, what day is that? Okay. But at the end of that 5 day challenge, on the last day, I think I'm going to do on Zoom. Is it Zoom? Yeah, on Zoom, I'm going to do a live Q&A. So it's going to kind of be like just a live Zoom chat. It's going to be, that's all it is going to be a Q&A, hands raised in the Zoom chat. And we're just going to try to get through some Q&As based off of a breakout in your purpose challenge. Those 5 days, it's going to be filled with prayer, but it's also going to be filled with action. And I'm going to challenge you to step up and step out into your purpose. Okay. So that right there is free, but it doesn't start for 2 weeks technically. Next week is sign up week. The week after that is when it starts. And so that's a 2 week, that's a 1 week, 5 day challenge where I'm just challenging you for free to, if you're wanting to break out into your purpose and break out even better in it and break out of some things that have been limiting you and capping you, then I know that's going to bless you. Actually, I don't think I have the link yet for that made. I don't have the link yet for that made. Actually, maybe I do. No, it's made, but it's not solidified yet, so I don't want to share it just yet. Let me see. Let me see what's on there. But yeah, so that is next week. So if you have no money, don't worry. No money, no problem, right? No money, no problemo. Um, so don't worry about that. If you have no money, you will be fine. Everything is good. Um, we can do that challenge. So don't ever. And that's one thing about me. I have a ministry. And so since I have a ministry, there's a lot of things I do for free. I do for free. A lot of things. As in I've got ebooks on there for free. I got challenges, I got the fasting, I've got so many free valuable resources for you. And then I have some paid resources as well. So if you're ever like, man, I do not have the money, that's why I made that video, no money, no problem. I have a page on my website called Free or Resource Library. There are resources in there, how to be an influencer, how to start your ministry with no money, how to plan better. I have all kinds of stuff inside of there for free because I have learned early on in my faith walk that I didn't have the money to start a ministry. So I had to learn and just get every valuable freebie I could get. And that's what blessed me. And that's what got me here today. And so that's why I give back so many free things to you guys, because I know sometimes we're just starting at ground zero and we just need a helping hand. You know what I mean? And so hopefully that free challenge, I will be here is the link. You can go ahead and sign up. I didn't think it was ready, but it is. It's probably not going to direct you to nothing yet, but you're welcome to sign up on that, because I don't know how many we're limiting it to yet. I don't know anything, uh, but it wasn't really supposed to go out till Monday, that link, but I just dropped it just now. But it's going to be a 5-day breakout and purpose challenge if you're interested in that. But also, like I said, if you're interested, we have 5 to 4 spots left in my coaching program. So if you need some real tangible tips, like a girl all about YouTube, we chatted. We had a whole branding thing, all about some life mountains, just mountains within a girl individual. Like she just had a lot of mountains she needed to overcome. We went on that for sure. But some stuff has been like, I have a big mountain when it comes to growing my social media. Like I'm struggling with this all that. And I audit it and I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is what we could do. This is how we can change things. But then it goes real spiritual too sometimes. And it's like, the Lord is like, nah, like this isn't her journals. Okay, like she got to work on. We got to talk about some of this stuff, you know. So it just depends on the individual and how the Lord leads it, and really what they come for. But you also have to remember I don't know if it was the blind man where he was like looking, he was wanting money, and but he really got his sight. I think it was, or it was the paralyzed man. I think it was the blind man. But sometimes we come looking for something, like we're like, oh Jesus, like I need the car, and he's like, but I need to first give you freedom in your spirit because you're just battling depression. You know what I mean? So like sometimes you come with something, you want something, and God gives you what you need though. Like there was a season when I was like, oh God, I need to get out. I need to go do this. I need to make more money. I need you to break me financially, like break me free financially. Like we got to make more money. And the Lord broke me free in my spirit to where every day after that, I just started having joy. I started having peace. I started flowing. I was just happy. I was like, hold on. I have not been happy. I didn't even really realize how unhappy I was until the Lord broke me free. And then I was like, the money started to come because I was just happy. I was joyous. I was loving life, loving people. So I'm just trying to tell you, the way the Lord does things is his own way. But anyways, y'all, I've been here over an hour. So check out those links if you're interested. We have 5 spots left if you want to do the one-on-one coaching. We also have a 5-day breakout and purpose challenge. It's free and sign up start next week, but that link is in here as well. So you can sign up now if you choose to. And more information will be coming next week all about that. So ladies, and if there's some gentlemen in here, thank you guys for joining me. And hopefully you stick to your roots, girl. You get back to your roots and you start moving the way of the word of the Lord. I love you guys. Bye. See you later. See y'all.